because duh, you get married, you're going to be together, right? Doesn't that just seem to make sense? But not with the Corinthians. You see, some Corinthians were choosing to become celibate within their marriage in order to have this appearance of piety. So they were looking at celibacy as something that would make them more holy and set them apart from other Christians. Isn't that interesting when you start to add these little additions, right? You start to add these additions to things that we call it extra biblical. And you start to add these little additions to things, and it completely shifts. So now all of a sudden, can you imagine somebody, you're married to somebody, you love a person, you've been intimate, maybe you have children, and all of a sudden your husband says to you, oh yeah, by the way, our marriage is now going to be celibate for the rest of our lives, without ever discussing it with you, without ever even having some sort of agreement or understanding or anything. That was not okay, because the spouses never received permission from each other to do this. And here's what's interesting. This wasn't the women necessarily doing this. There was mostly spouses, husbands doing this. They were the ones who were saying, no, I want to be celibate, because that would be the mastery of self-control in their mind, which would make them holy. But that was not God's rule. That was not God's reasoning when he made Adam and Eve to be together. The beauty of their union yielded children, right? It populated the earth. So this was not something that only one party could decide. And that is a very important point, because it's true that if you are in a marriage, whether you are male or female, one party doesn't get to say, now our marriage is celibate for the rest of our lives, without having a discussion. So basically, celibacy within marriage can't be one-sided. This is what Paul was saying. He's like, you can't do that. That has to be something that's mutually agreed on, for maybe prayer or fasting, or coming together as husband and wife and saying, we're going to fast sexual intimacy for 2 weeks because we want to break through in this area. And if that's something that they agreed upon, and that's something that they want to do together, then that's what happens. But what was going on in Corinth is that people were just making these decisions. They were not even consulting their wives or their husbands.